I'm one of the 11 children that lived across the street over here. I'll tell you a bit about it later. Today's a very historic day for all of us involved. For those of you that are new, you learn a lot about the genesis of canoe paddling. You learn a lot about this place, this aupua that we operate in. You learn a lot about the people and the families that were very integral to canoe paddling on the windward side in this Kolapoko district. And the purpose of our canoe blessings is to get all of us to understand that we've got a powerful foundation that we come from. Canoe paddling, it's much more than getting in the canoe, enjoying your friends, and taking a stroke. Every stroke that you take, you're enabled to do that and allowed to do that because of the history that comes before all of you folks and all of the effort that's been put into maintaining this sport as something special, something that's very inclusive, something that's very innovative, something that requires a lot of passion, something that requires a lot of patience, something that requires a lot of nurturing, and then something that requires a lot of respect for not only your fellow paddlers, but for the history. And as you all know, if you build a house on sand, it's not stable. Houses that are built on cement and rock that are solid tend to stand the test of time. I think the reason why you see these different clubs and why I wanted to make sure that we all get together with Oni Canoe Club and Kailua Canoe Club was to ensure you folks the understanding that Kailua Canoe Club would not be here. Kailua Canoe Club would not exist had it not been for the folks that came before us. And that's why we paddle next to our cousins so long, but I know many of you don't understand the relationship. And some of you sometimes ponder on how congenial we all are with Kailua Canoe Club. It's not because we just met them the other day and we're just being friendly. We've known each other since the beginning of time. And so today, hopefully you'll embrace that, get to understand it. The purpose for me, I think I'm Max the 2,000-year-old mouse. Over here I have a very vivid memory from when I was a child, and really because all of my cousins and my brother and I really don't want to get out here and speak, so I'll do that. My oldest brother Charlie is back there, but he's back there someplace saying yes, go. But in all seriousness, when we look at who we are, I thought it was very important, and this is a very historic day for canoe paddling on this side of the island, because once we all understand and can respect where we all come from, I think it actually gives you greater mana and strength when you get into a canoe race and you've got to take that last stroke and you're tired and you're fatigued, and you recognize that your stroke is not just for you, it's for everyone that's come before you, for everyone that's not having the opportunity of sitting in a canoe seat, and for those that will come after you because you've provided them with the inspiration to want to jump into one of these canoes to do that. So today what I wanted to do is just present an overview. What I plan on doing is I'd like to do the canoe blessing, and the chants that I'll use will be an ancient chant the Takuna Kalaiva'a, the doctors that built canoes, would use. You can go to the Bish Museum, you can read it in old Olelo Hawaii about this, what I'll use today. So it's just something at a very young age, unbeknownst to my siblings, I was trained by a lot of folks. There's a woman at Tiolani Lohini that I trained with when I was 5 and 6 years old up at Mauna Ala when it wasn't done a lot. At that time, Hawaiian culture was still being suppressed in Hawaii, and as my brothers know, my brother Charlie is the oldest, and I'm number 7. We all went off in our different ways, and I didn't know I was being a beneficiary of a lot of culture at that time because I go grudgingly with my mother. And basically it was to carry all of her, my mother Unikita graduated as a hula kumu at the age of 13. So many of the hula instructors that you see in Hawaii, the chanters, they're either students of my mom or students of my mom's students. And so my mom's hula genealogy is the Ilalaole genealogy, which is just like with Hawaiian moku hauhau genealogies is very critical as to who your teacher was. My mother's pahu drum was made from this man named Daddy Bray. There's stories that go with all of that. Her teacher, her kumu is Lokalia Montgomery, and you hear a lot of the teachers nowadays. Auntie Maikiayu Lake was my mom's younger cousin, who actually graduated after my mom. Mapuana Di Silva was very well renowned. Shiki Mahoi came out a lot of the same similar halal as you go through. So I was exposed to a lot of things, and even like with my brother Charlie, he never got exposed to me doing these types of things until he came with me to Australia. With Mike Kuleana for sharing this part of my life was addressed for that, because at that time my mother was still with us, and she would come and do these blessings for the club. And her name was Elizabeth Kaekabaha Kikau Ilani Correa, Ako DeFries. But she would come and do these blessings for us. And my younger brother Kai, I will win a contest with Kai, and Kai paddled with a lot of the folks here. He was an extremely powerful physical man, but spiritually he was he was training with the kahuna at the age of 5 up in the mountains, and so we were all trained differently in a number of different areas. But my brother's name, I always win a contest, his name was Christopher Aris. Terrible. That was his name. And it describes the squid that are there. It describes the strength of the ground. It talks about the keiki. My brother's lives went in a whole number of different areas, but he touched so many different people. But all of us were given different names to do different things. And as I shared that with you, I get chicken skin. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to share the blessing with you, but then what I'd also like to do after the blessing, or you know what, maybe I'll do it before the blessing. Be much more fitting, so we can really understand who it is that makes up the leadership groups that spend the time to come down here and basically follow in the footsteps of those that coached us. But I think it would be very fitting that let me back up a bit. The reason why I had the canoe set up this way today was just to protocol. The oldest canoe that we have here is the Manu Eva. This is the oldest canoe down here. The Kalanakila is the next oldest, and then the Lukai is relatively new. It's a youngster with respect to the group. I'll let David or someone from Kailua Canoe Club, I'm going to introduce the groups, Kailua Canoe Club first, because they preceded us, and then I'll introduce our president, Brad, and then Brad can introduce his team, and then after all that's done, then I'll do the blessing. I think that's only fitting, and then we can come in close and do that. So I know my cousin David wasn't ready for this, but I got this Sister Dwayne's here, Auntie Shirley's here, Auntie Kami. I see Dwayne, I saw Stu Boy's back there, Bernie's over there. So I'm just commenting on all those. I see Galen's daughter back there. Over here. Oh, Stu Boy's right there. Charlie's over here, but there's when I do the blessing, I'm gonna share a lot of stories about different things and why I selected that. But first, I know Auntie Kami's here on that. David, you guys want to introduce your group? I just told him about 5 minutes ago. Where is he? Okay, go ahead.
He's ready already.
Anyway, so, Kamal decided, the other day he told me it would really be nice for us to be here. And, we weren't really even thinking about it until he said what he told me that day. And we went home and we decided, it really makes sense because we are really close. And they were like, it was my protectors when I was growing up over here. I mean, people don't even realize a lot of what possessed us with our knowledge, right? And for me, it's just being affiliated with a lot of expertise around me. So, whether it was my father, my brother, there's a lot handed down. And some of us just take it a little bit further. And so I was trying to think, okay, what am I going to say? Because I got a lot to say. And so I make jokes about things. So because we got a lot of German blood and Hawaiian as well. I think the two mixtures make me Portuguese at times. So I don't know. So I can really get crazy and keep talking forever. But I want to kind of keep it as simple as possible. But what you see right here is kind of what I grew up with in my grandmother's yard. So if you go to the end of the road on the corner, it was my mother's dad and mother, and that's kind of where we grew up. And Kamora and everybody, that was like the stomping grounds. For me, it was like really weird because there was a lot of people, and it seemed like a community. And I didn't realize that they weren't even my blood, and it was a lot of Oriental. Back then, Kaioni was, we were just talking earlier about the albums. When you look to the albums, a lot of Orientals, just Japanese everywhere, and the names are like Taki, Fugi, Kenji, Jiro. It's just a lot of names like that, right? And I thought they were actually family of ours. It took me a while to realize that. And my grandfather, being pure German, I thought he was Hawaiian. I didn't know. I thought he was just old with white hair and blue eyes. He spoke Hawaiian, as well. But
I'm going to interject just a little bit because you don't realize the magnitude of his grandfather and even the whole Granberg family. On that corner, why we all migrated there, we had this canoe. They had this big blue canoe. I swear we were about 1,000 pounds. And we used to always, that was a big part of the ritual, we'd have to roll it down to the beach. But the Granberg house, everything there was big. Grandpa Granberg he was a giant. He was like Goliath to me. But even, they had this chicken, this rooster that was bigger than our dog. Remember that? So, it was just a very focal point for all of us. I mean, not only were they strong, but they were very caring and inclusive for us.
Yeah, so we grew up. I had the tail end of it. I was more or less the younger guy, the younger kid, running around with everybody. And Stuba was older. He possessed a lot of knowledge from my grandfather as well, along with my dad, right? But everything we did was based on them. What Grandma said, what Grandpa said, and the respect. But what I'm trying to say is the boats were rigged in the yard a lot, pretty much the whole year. Kailua never had any fiberglass canoes. We had 4 canoes rigged. Uwila was the other canoe that was lost in the channel. It broke up. And, my brother wasn't here at the time, and it disintegrated. And he thought he could have put it back together, but it never got put back together. It was distributed as souvenirs. And he was all upset about that. But with that and the knowledge possessed, by my grandfather giving him understanding of certain things and his skills, he actually started to do work on boats and make it the way it is, right? So a lot of what you guys see, I like to say a lot of it came in from our yard, and I just continued it, So this, Manuiva in general, probably, it was a lot narrower. Stuba made it wider. He took a skill saw to it, made it wider. That's kind of unheard of. And then over the years, everybody wanted, to make it longer. It was short. So we talked my father into it, and you guys don't understand, coming from paddling families, how strong the I don't know if you want to say mana and all of that, but you don't just cut a boat. It's like cutting into the flesh of your own siblings or your own family members, and there's a feeling that's generated from that. And I didn't have the nerve, but Stuboy did. So we laid it out. My father said, "Yeah, cut them. I'm going to the farm. When I come back, better be back together." So like, Stuboy, it's all laid out. Let's go. Get the skill saw. He drove out. We cut them. We laid them out. We put it all back together. We connected the veins, and I look at it like taking a heart out of somebody and reconnecting it and getting the life back in. So we got to connect it, right? So 3 points of connection in 2 areas of the boat, and the rest is history. Since then, there's a lot of people experimenting with modifications and all of that. We still want to keep it traditional, but just getting back to the boats and respect. We used to swing on the yakus, and we thought that was a jungle gym. Got swift kicks in the ass. We learn respect, and we try to pass that on. So some of our natural instincts and abilities are hard to explain. We don't have time to explain everything, and our reaction, sometimes we have to apologize beforehand, because we can remember how it was for us, and we can get mad at the situation. I'm a little bit more lenient in a way in teaching, and we really just want to teach. We want to make everybody understand how it is, right? But there's so much about canoe paddling that people need to know. There's a lot of people that came on and really turned it into a profitable experience for them. And what you see is what I'm saying. There's a lot of money being made, and we weren't that kind of people. We gave it all away. We still give it away, right? And the knowledge is meant to be given away. We won't hold back anything. As far as, Stuart, he always used to tell me, like, yeah, when teach this guy how to make paddles, next thing you know, he's a paddle maker and he's making money. It's just on and on and on. And there's so many years of us going through all these things, and we don't have enough time to share. There's so much memories in my mind. And, I grew up the haole in the family, and Hawaiians always like scrap with me because I'm white, right? Whiter than everybody else, right? But, you come tough after a while. But it's the hard part for me is trying to explain what I'm about, right? You need to get to know somebody before you criticize them, right? And once you do, what they have, what they possess actually comes on you. And it's hard to say, but we actually got into a canoe building program. And when you touch the boat, it actually becomes a part of you. And I tell everybody, just touch it, just be part of it. The canoe will know, right? But earlier we were looking up, Kim bumps me and she looks up and the 2 Manuiva birds are flying over. That was a regular occurrence. Every time Manuiva showed up, 2 birds would fly over, and they just passed by. I don't know if you guys noticed, but we watched them come over. That is, I don't know how to explain that, the feeling of it, right? But getting back to that part, come on, I really, I'm in awe with what he does, and for me, I don't have that spiritual side, even though people say you do, but, I got what I got, and I won't say I got anything more. But I'm really proud of this guy, you know, and I watched him, you know, do Bo's funeral, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. I wish I could be like that. And I think all of us have the ability to be something like that. And whether you're from here or not, you know, I feel that you can actually possess a lot of the cultural side and the feeling of it, right? So, you know, just walk lightly and appreciate what's around you, you know, because time is short. A lot of us, we're here as long as we are, depending on when our number comes up, yeah. But appreciate the canoe, and that's what we're about. We just want to make it a good experience, and you know, have a good time learning about this. A lot of our past members of military, and to watch these guys just hold it really close to themselves, and it's just that's the reward for us, yeah. That's the reward. But again, I can keep going on. There's so much to teach, and believe me, my kids tell me sometimes like, "Oh, Dad, you're unapproachable," whatever. Yeah, I'm not unapproachable. So much on my mind, and I'm thinking about so many things. But I'm open to anybody coming up and asking me a question. I know my brother; he's good at that. He's like, "Yeah, you talk to everybody. Everybody knows him, right?" You know, but you know, I'm glad he's here, and I'm glad he's still participating and all that. Got my sister; she hasn't stayed since how long ago? 50 years. Got her in the 70s boat. I'm afraid when we go out here, you know, like, oh, let's help her. Yeah, keep them in the river today, because dangerous out there. But you know what? We're about that. We want everybody as much as possible to keep going. I'm surprised she actually came, but I'm happy she's here, right? So, other than that, I'm glad to see all of you out here.
Yeah.
And then we got my stepmom. She's over there too, and she's actually the matriarch of us. She's what's left as far as you know, the memories. You know, they got a lot more memories than me. I got enough of my data bank is all full, and I got all the time. But anyway, I'm gonna just turn it back over to Kamoa. And
a couple of things that I want to just add to what David is. When we look at our canoe over here, and he was talking about canoe modifications. You know, my opening comments, I talked about the Hawaiian culture being one of innovation. And if you look back in our history, in Hawaiian history, you know, I often will do later on today I'll share my genealogy with you, but the reason why I do that is because I always often try and tell people to understand how complex Hawaii was pre-Western contact. Hawaii was a self-sustained community, 1.4 million people. No problems with food, no problems with water. So when often I'll go back, like today, maybe I'll go back to the 14th century and the names, but it'll take us back to the island of Hawaii. But it'll go back, but what I do is you try thinking, part of the 14th century, what else was going on in the world in the 14th century? What was going on in the world in the 15th century, in the middle, you know, with Alexander the Great running around, 16th century, 17th century. When Kamehameha was putting the islands together here, what was happening in our country, the U.S. of A, what was going on? When the Iolani Palace was built and King Kalakaua was always presented as this merry monarch who loved to dance and dressed like the British royalty, but at the same time he was one of the smartest men on earth. He recalibrated the distance between the stars, the planet, and the earth. He did that here in conjunction with astronomers from around the world. One site was here in Honolulu, one was at Huluhea Palace in Kona, and the other was in Sydney, Australia. Until today, people reference back to that. Those calibrations are still used. We had electricity in the White House, in the Iolani Palace before they had in the White House. We had lights in the Iolani Palace before they had it in the White House. There's just a lot of things. We knew, my dad would always raise us, and like Uncle Stu, he would remind us that, you know, here in Hawaii, you excellent botanists, you're excellent doctors. You may have had a different foundation, similar foundation, and medicine is medicine. Chemical makeup never changes, unless we modify it as human beings. But the whole point is innovation is a big part of us. When you look at this canoe today, and I'll let Brad and I'll introduce Brad later, our president, and then have Hank possibly talk about what happened with the modifications of the Kailua. The Kailua used to be a practice boat with Kailua. That day. I remember seeing it over here. Let me back up a bit how all of us are very privileged to be able to jump into a boat our first day and paddle. I remember having the privilege of pushing this big blue boat from the Granberg's yard, and that was a task to run it along the beach. We'd run on the road, block all the traffic, get the boat down to the beach. It was like a big two regular truck wheels on this wooden ramp, and we just run down the street, and everybody would run the canoe to the end, and then you get there thinking, okay, today's my day. Today's not your day. His dad, Uncle Heine, and then would give us 6 sticks. And on that boat ramp on the right side, you line up like this and you paddle in the sand. And I remember I paddled in the sand for weeks. For weeks I paddled in the sand. I remember the first day they finally put it in and I got to go in the boat. And it was a big heavy boat. The paddle was like this long, but I remember running home to my mother telling her, I'm in a canoe, you know. And I was 8 years old, you know, and it captured you. But you had people, they were down there, and they're just his important names for us, and they can share it. We had Ola, we had a whole bunch of people. The other part too is the reason why, again, this is important. This canoe, as David talked, this canoe was the shortest canoe around. I remember racing in races where this canoe, the end of it, was here. And it had a square back, remember that? And it was just and I used to be in races where I could be in 6 and equal with number 5, and my number 1 man would still be behind their number 1. We'd race like that, and we worked on it and we extended it. So the other part too is that people don't know. You look at the history, there was a time we had a civic club in Kailua, Kailua Hawaiian Civic Club. Kaoni was Kailua Hawaiian Civic Club for a time. Remember that with John McCandless and all those guys, right? All that stuff. And then when Kailua first broke off, our founders at Kailua, of course everybody, before there's only Kolau Popo Canoe Club. And it manifested itself, but really the folks that came out of Kailua Canoe Club shaped canoe paddling all over. 2 days ago I was with Glenn and Tay Perry, and all they were talking about, I was telling them we were having this day. And they're just reminiscing about discussions that their dad, George Perry, had with your grandpa and everybody in those early days. And that's where the Lanikai started, from that group up there. But even the 3 clubs are very close together, but we were talking about different things that went on and the transitions that we went through. But this canoe went through a lot of change. That canoe there, we were Kailua Hawaiian Civic Club too. In 1968, we were Kailua Hawaiian Civic Club. This boat was actually owned by Kailua Hawaiian Civic Club. We would sit in a dairy where Target is right now. There was a big dairy before in Kailua, Campus Dairy, on that side. And this boat used to sit there by Uncle Dodo Kapila's yard, because he was with the Civic Club at that time. But eventually, I don't know how Cliff and Jimmy were able to work it out. They got the Hawaiian Civic Club to allow us to be a part of that. They sponsored us, and we started the club. And eventually, we evolved out of that about 4 years later, and then became Kailua Canoe Club. This canoe over here, this one's gone through a lot of renovation. This canoe over here, the log was actually sold to us by my Uncle Ray Kanuha from Kona. We bought it for $2,500, if I'm not mistaken. But this is the same thing like with David. When you put your hands on something, you build it. This canoe, the original canoe, was built by the Canoe Club members. They all had to go up there and actually shape it and pick at it and everything. With Uncle Wright Bowman, we did that up in KMS schools, the initial shape of it. But maybe I could, Brad, here are you? This is our club president, Brad. Brad.
Brad.
So, welcome today, guys. Thanks for coming. Right now, just want to introduce our head coach over here. This is Derek Kahale. Board members out there, raise your hands. Board members. Thank you. Then, of course, the coaches, the other Kailua coaches are on here. Yeah, you guys make us go. Yeah, you're the reason why we paddle and the life force of this club. Yeah, so thank you guys. And then now we have Kahuku Shaw. Is my turn? Your turn.
Uncle David, I can't talk you at all.
David, between you and him, he's Portuguese.
Okay, well, I want the Uncle David and he can come over here. The coaches, all the coaches, just kind of gather around right over here. All the coaches will go right over here. Right over here, all the coaches.
Get in here. Gotta get the future.
I've had the honor of being asked for Keakua's blessing on the regatta season for probably the last 6 years. And to me, especially growing up here in Kailua and being part of this community, this is really something that I look forward to. Change everything, make sure I don't schedule anything. It always happens on the same time, right? It always happens.
My Portuguese part is going to interrupt. So. If you folks are wondering about the connectivity over here, also up here we have the Granbergs. You also have the Coffrans in the backside who are Bishaws, which are related to this.
Yes. Okay. So, the reason why I ask for the coaches and all the heads to come over here is because the blessing is always first and foremost on the people. And what concerns you concerns Kailua. So I'm going to just ask for Kailua's blessing on you guys. And the blessing I'm going to give is the one that I always give to those that are in the position of leadership, and guiding and directing. And it's a blessing that comes from the Bible Hemorrhage. It's what God did when he spoke to the second king, his name was David. And when he spoke to David, he told David, I'm going to put leadership from watching sheep to leading people. And so God said, he did that because inside of those that lead is two very strong values, and that's integrity of heart and spiritual hands. Those are also two very strong values. The integrity of heart is the parallel value of being trying your best to do the right thing. And then, of course, the skillful hands, integrity of heart, skillful hands. The skillful hands part is that you're skilled in what you do. Okay? So I'm going to ask for that continued blessing upon all of you. Just make sure your hands are in the front. We'll begin. Heavenly Father, we thank you that we can gather beneath you, the God that created the heavens and the earth. And you've created this beautiful place of your name, a land loved by its people. And so today we ask that your ears will always be inclined to everything that we see, that your eyes would look with love and care upon all of us. Father, we provide all the water for life. I ask for blessing upon these men. May they be pono and makau in all that they do as they guide and direct. Oni and Kailua. Imau aku kaloko mai kai o kahaku Yesu Christo. Ame ke aloha o ke apua. Ame ka launa puana. Ame ka uhani hemele. May they guide and direct with the integrity of heart and skillful hands. May the people that you have given them, Uliana for, feel their love, their aloha. Especially this one. Lord, come down, Lord, all peace and support us. May the grace of God, you are God and our loving Heavenly Father. You are God in the water of life. You are God in the source of life. As our loving Heavenly Father, we ask that you take us in the right hand.
Just explain a few things. This part of our blessing is, I'm going to give you a series of chants or oli. The first oli that I do, it's Ona Kumoa Kua I Hanau Ia I Kapo I Kalahiki Ku. Basically, it goes back to the beginning of time and asks Kua to come and bless us. It goes back to our leaders since the beginning of time that have come before us to lead us. It goes back to your predecessors, all your family members to come back and be with us, down to your grandparents to come and be with you. That'll be the first part, to be able to come up, rise out of the sea. We're people of the ocean. Rise up out of the sea and give us strength. The reminder with that oli is to tell you that when you act, you not only act for yourself, you act for everybody that came before you, and you also set a foundation for those that are going to come after you. And so that's the strength of that oli. That I was taught many moons ago, and I've never lost that. The second oli that I'll share with you is actually my genealogy, our genealogy, that goes back to, it'll go back to the late 13th century, and you'll hear me say Eyao. Basically what I'm saying is I am. I am Kihenui Lulumoku, I am Miklilo, I am Umi. Umi is 8 generations before Kamehameha. It'll come down through here, you'll hear mention of Haleakala and those different places because those are islands of where our families come from, early descendants. That gives me grounding to go ahead and share with you today the Kuna Kalai Va'a blessing of a canoe. When you go to, in ancient Hawaii, when the Kuna Kalai Va'a would go into the forest to identify logs, there's a special bird, the elepaio bird. And more coincidentally, Kamano is naming their new canoe after the elepaio bird. But if you go to the second floor of the Bishop Museum, it tells the story of the elepaio bird. Elepaio bird was a bird that would fly around the forest and identify those trees that were termite eaten that weren't good for canoe logs. What the Kuna Kalaivao would subsequently do, go ahead and select this log, cut it down, but this is the chant that he would use. And basically what it says is it calls on our Amakua, Kukuali'i, Kupahi, and Lea to be with us. It puts the canoes in front of them, so I'll name the 3 canoes. And then I'll basically ask, it says, Aiho lani yakuana ike kai. Basically, Okanai ai huli kalawa mika vai vai. What it is at least allow us to stay upright, paddle smoothly, avoid the rocks, the waves, and everything, return us to shore safely. And then I'll share you, the 4th will be an aloha chant that basically embodies who we are as a people. Over time, you've heard the word aloha said in a number of different ways. And you see it used commercially and everything, but that word is a very powerful word. It embodies the virtues of who we are, all of us here in Hawaii, and the fact that we have the opportunity to share aloha with everyone. What is aloha? Aloha is kindness. There's a Hawaiian saying, "Akahai na Hawaii." Be kind, people of Hawaii. Be kind to those who come in contact with you. Sometimes that word being kind is misconstrued, misinterpreted. So when our coaches come and they give you constructive criticism, that's being kind. My cousin David is a little more direct than me, but you find similarities. But I can digress a little bit, just in short, because that's all part of the blessing. It brings a mana to us. When we were kids, if we were fooling around on the bottom, Uncle Stu would be up on that pine tree over there, throwing little pebbles down on us a couple times. David never suffered that, but I did. But you learn fast not to play around. But it's just, again, if you look at that, Akahi na Hawaii. The second letter in the Hawaiian word aloha stands, is the Hawaiian word lokahi. Lokahi a kulike. It talks about the importance of family. We're all family. You know, I remember speaking to one of the gentlemen from Kailua Canoe Club who has a special son that he's not here now. Is he here today? He might be at his class. Yeah. It gives us the strength that we need to recognize how blessed we all are. To have such a diverse community, but to embrace everyone for the value that they have, and to recognize that they do have value. Like my friend Mark is around here somewhere. Mark is the best ambassador that Kailua's ever had. You know, he can't hear me, but he can feel me. He's right there. You look at that, and the family is really strong. The third letter, O, talks about olu olu kamana'o, to be agreeable, to see the good in people, to look for that, and to recognize that when we're in a canoe, everybody's trying to put their best effort forward. We're not all at the same skill level, but we're only as strong as that individual that's most challenged in the boat, because it takes 6 people to move this canoe effectively. 6 people moving together. So we talk about that. The letter H in the Hawaiian word aloha speaks to the importance of being humble. And all of us have the ability to be good servant leaders. In the canoe, much more so than anything, when you look at it, because this is our vocation at this time. How can you paddle and still be a teacher and a servant to uplift those in the boat that are challenged? They may not have your skill set, they may not have your experience, but the passion is there. And so to try and nurture that. The last letter is the Hawaiian word for ahonui. There's a saying, ahonui ala nakila, through patience and perseverance, you can emerge victorious. So that'll be the 4th part of the oli that I share with you. The things that I brought with me today, I think it just ties us back to our roots again. This red tea leaf and this green tea leaf actually came from our original house over here. My father planted it in different places. When I moved to my home, he brought and planted this in my yard, and he planted the green tea leaf. So I continued to, my brothers know I got tea leaf all around my house, but it was from my dad planting it. But again, it just gives me a tie back to Kailua. I think it's very important too. These plants here, this heliconia actually came from Manueli Valley. And I brought different stages of it, only because you got the mature flower. We have many mature people here. And I brought a little one in here. I brought a puakinikini bud. It's just that it's basically right at that point where it's going to blossom and bloom. I thought it would be very characteristic of the various stages that we're all at, and that when this blooms, it becomes this, and it's very fragrant. Smile, but it's just again, a visualization that the Hawaiians would often use to tell stories about what they go through. I brought things from my yard. Again, from Kailua, my father ended up giving me planting. I've got a common mango. I have a guava for nurturing. I also have this is la'amea. This is a plant that was used to make musical instruments. It eventually will grow and become brown, and then I'll crack it and let the bugs eat the inside of it out, and then I can make uli uli and different things out of it. So this is what I have. But my mother planted it in my yard. So it's just again, it gives me grounding back to you folks. And then the last part, I thought it was very fitting. This is a beautiful lake given to me by Lida. Is this bowl. And David's grandsons are here. This bowl was given to me. Where are you guys? Come in the front. Don't hide. I just saw you turn around. Come here. I just saw you. Yeah, this come here. This is how your uncle and everybody should treat me, so I guess I'm enjoying it. He hides from me every time I see him, but this is real. But this bowl here was given to me by King Tupou IV from Tonga. Many years ago, I trained his, and my brother knows Inokimoto Puaka, who is a part of the ruling chief class. I trained his canoe team. King Tupou came here with his big ship. We laid out the red carpet on the beach, but this bowl was given to me, so I brought it especially for this guy. No, the reason why I say that is because I see a great deal of enthusiasm and effort every time he's out there paddling. He's always got that look on his face of intensity but joy at the same time. So I know I'm embarrassing you, but he go back. But that's what this is. But again, so what I'm going to do is I'll just start through, and you can close your eyes and I'll do my thing. Okay, so. Ona kimo akua pao I hanau ia I ka po I ka lahikiku. E o mai ki kai mai. Ona kumo ali ia pao I hanau ia I ka po I ka lahikiku. E o mai ki kai mai. Ona lalali ia pao I hanau ia I ka po I ka lahikiku. E o mai ki kai mai. Ona veluali ia pao I hanau ia I ka po I ka lahikiku. E o mai ki kai mai. Ona puali ia pao I hanau ia I ka po I ka lahikiku. E o mai ki kai mai. E iawe ki anua I lulu moku, e iawe lilo iawe umi. E iawe ua anu ia mahi iawe ua kwa ela au. E iawe ka iawe ka wahine ku I o ka hili o pua. E iawe ku o mali e iawe ke ki lani wahine ali I o puna. E iawe ka e ka waha ke kau I lani. E iawe ka mohai ki o ka lani. Paliko nā mauna kea, paliko nā mauna loa, paliko nā uhalalai. Paliko nā halea kala, paliko nā kolau. Aloha e, aloha e, aloha e. E mōku ali I kupai e lea. E ia kawa. Ua pā. Manu iwa ua pā. Kalana kila ua pā lo kahia. Ai ho lana I aku ana I ke kai. O kanai ai huli ka aloha a me ka vai vai. E nana pona lo o koho. E makani nā pukoa nā pukoa. O kahi lau papa na nalu no kamoana. I hele vai I ka wā nalu kai. A pulu alimu paka I e o kani koko. A mama ua noa, a mama ua noa, a mama ua noa. E aloha I e aloha I Pakahaina Hawaii Lo kaya kulike Olu ka manao Ha koku lanao Ya honu ya lana kila Ya dohi Ya loye aloye aloha mai he na Hawaii Ke aloha kau mea nui Ke o mai e na Hawaii na puana leina mamo aloha ihe ie ie aloha ie aloha ie aloha ie me ka pu'u vai ha'a mahalo e a'oe o ko mahalo aloha everyone.
Now, I don't know if you noticed, we thought we just encircled the canoe, but really what you have is a puhai ke aloha. I mean, an all encircling, all embracing layer of love and aloha. And then I asked for Keakua to watch over us, so he's looking down right now. My kupuna always told me this. This is how they would say it. Boy, you stay connected. First point of connection was Keakua. Next point of connection is the aina. The third point of connection is all of us. You have those 3 points, you're not just going to survive, you're going to thrive. And God has created us to be in this place at this time. So I'm going to continue to ask for His blessing upon all that we do. A very simple scripture goes like this, and this is for all of you, for Oni and for Kailua. May the Lord bless this year with His goodness, and may the paths that we all travel always drip with His abundance. So Father, we cover all the water for life. We ask for a blessing upon these ohanas, for Kailua and also for Kailua. We thank you for all that has come before us. We provide all the water for life, that you would watch over them, that you would be around them to guide them, beneath them to strengthen them, be above them to always watch over. I ma'aku kaloko mai kai o kāpu Yesu Kristo. A me ke aloha o ke apua, a me ka launa pu'ana, a me ka uhani he malele. May the grace of God and the love of God always be with you. The love of family and ohana. Amen. I'll give you applause. Yay! Hello, my kako. Hello. So, I don't know how you follow those two guys, but I'm gonna try. Again, just stuff that I wanted to reiterate, and you know, everybody today talked about this history that we have here in Kailua. Kamoa definitely talked about his family history and his connection to this place. Uncle Dave, same thing, his connection to this place. And that's what I really love about this sport. Yeah, I've been paddling for Kailua Canoe Club for over 20 years, since I was a little kid. And it's really what makes this sport very, very special, is our connection to place, is our connection to these va'a, yeah? This is what separates us from many, many other sports. These canoes, each other, we're all ohana, yeah? We're all family together. We remember our roots, we remember where we come from. Yeah, we like to go fast, we like our new canoes, but we also remember our traditions and where we come from, yeah? And that's kind of the one thing I wanted to reiterate to everybody. I have a couple oli to offer as well. One of them talks about, again, building of canoes, the types of canoes, how they were built, the elepaio birds that they use to find the coal logs, how they drag the logs down to the shore, and then finally when they're taking the canoes out. And the second only, I'm going to need some help for those people that was helping me do this one. So we'll do the first one first, and then I'll talk about the second one. Yeah. Okay. Iava anui, iava akialo, iava apelele ualele mamala. Manu okai, ivi pola na kaukahoku, akawika malama paikula, iava anui, iava akialo, iava apelele ualele mamala, manu okai, ivi pola na kaukahoku, akawika malama paikula. Iava anui, iava
a kialo, iava a pelele ua lele mamala. A manu okai, ivi pola na kaukahoku. A kawika malama pai kula. So the second chant, again, drives my point home about where we're from, yeah? No matter we're two different canoe clubs, we race each other on the water, but we are still from this aina of Kailua. We are still from Kailua here, this ili aina of Kailua, and our aukua of Kailua, excuse me. So, this short mele talks about some of our histories of this place. The first line talks about Kaulu or Kaulua Kalana. This man was a navigator from Kailua in the 11th century. He was this famous navigator. And there's a story about him. He was the man who brought back the lepo aia, or this famous mud of kawainui that people used to eat. And the second line talks about this other navigator, Paumakua, this other navigator from Kailua. These guys sailed all over the Pacific, all over the place, to every corner of the world, yeah? Very special people, and it just reiterates how special it is for us as people of Kailua to paddle for here in Kailua for this place, yeah? It really reiterates where we're from. So, girls, be loud. Help me out. Okay. O Kailua kaulula e, o Kailua paumakua e, hoi 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 paila. O Kailua kaulula e, o Kailua paumakua e, hoi 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 paila. O Kailua kaulula e.
Are we good? What I would suggest to everybody, I mean, this is a special day. So the neat thing that for me to see, when I was singling out my young gentleman back there, I told him I would never do this again, but I did. But it's, as you can see, the succession and the perpetuity of this great sport continues to be passed on with the flow of the group here as you start seeing that exchange and the willingness of us in our where we're at in our stages of life to be willing to recognize that our kuleana is to continue to pass this tradition on. And it's just really powerful to be able to see that. There's a reason why I grabbed my younger nephew over here and you're saying, who, me? Yes, get over here, you know. This one, because I watch him in the water and how he interacts with people, and he's sitting in a seat and he's coaching and he's directing him, but I often tease them aside, folks, it's genetic, you can't get away from it. You got to do that, but it's important that we pass this tradition on. And it's open to everybody. People that want to lead, jump in there. We're there to coach, we're there to mentor and doing that, but it's just, I appreciate the Brads of the world. I remember Brad when he was like that. My first race against Brad in the cold ocean in California. He was up there at school, but it's just good to see the passing on of knowledge. We have another man, Khalil, and he's hiding back here. A lot of resources. They've been with the Hokulea before. They're teaching different people to do stuff. My friend Landon over there is doing a certain type of helping us stay healthy. There's just a great amount of knowledge over here. So reach out to people, ask questions. There's never a poor question to ask, but today was, again, like I said, a very significant day for canoe paddling in the state of Hawaii. When people hear that clubs are coming together like this and understand what their genesis is, and that it's so critical that we all share the same foundation, and that one thing is the aloha that we share for this sport. So what I'd like to do is just bring everybody together. We can do a quick yell, one Kailua, you do Kailua Kailua, Kailua Kailua, Kailua Kailua, ha. Okay? So, I wasn't a cheerleader in school, but I followed them. Huh? Vic, you lead us. Come in by the canoes, buddy. How you gonna do this? Yeah, so what we're gonna do is we're just gonna, the ha came to me from Brother Hank over here. So the ha is we're sharing our space. In the Hawaiian language, when you look at another, when people define the word aloha, alo means to be in the presence of, ha is God. So when you ever look at that word, you're in the presence of God. So here we go. So we're gonna go Oni Kailua. Oni Kailua. Oni Kailua. Ha! Okay? Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Kailua! 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 Ha!
For a man of a few words.
Okay, now you guys are all blessed.
Yeah, really. Just spread. Thanks for letting us join.
Thank you. That's awesome. Awesome.